mi nombre es Noel, KF5SLK, KF5SLK de Watauga, Texas. Estás viendo la serie de podcast de video de Ham Radio 2.0, disponible en livefromthehamshack.tv or YouTube. Hey, my name's Noel, KF5SLK from Watauga, Texas. You're watching the Ham Radio 2.0 video podcast series available on livefromthehamshack.tv or YouTube.
Ham Radio 2.0 episode 70. This is going to be for the RFinder Android app. Not app. Device. It is, my episode 60 was an interview with Bob, W2CYK, who is the developer of RFinder, the application that is a repeater directory locator. This is the device that they created in conjunction with Runbo. It's a Chinese company that makes Android devices with two-way radios built in. So this device is a full Android 5.1 smartphone. Got a Wi-Fi, GPS, smartphone capability, takes a SIM card, everything you'd expect from your regular smartphone, Android smartphone, Samsung Galaxy, HTC, Motorola, whatever. Except this one, you see how big it is. Here is a TYT MD390. And here is my Android smartphone. Set it there where it won't fall over. This table's not very even. There we go. Let's see. Zoom that back a touch. So this thing's really big. It's huge. It is IP67 compliant, so it's waterproof to a certain depth. I forget the depth right now. But when you boot it up, which we'll see that here in a second, it shows you, it gives you a little warning that says make sure your SIM card cover is snapped down properly so that the waterproof feature will be enabled. So the waterproof feature is gone through the whole device. It's got buttons on the side here. It's got a panel here with the screw down connector on it for external microphones and earpieces and speakers and whatnot. And it's got a little flip cover over the charging port here, which is a standard mini USB charging port. Nothing special about that. It's got a clip on it. Some people ask, well, how big is that Android device? Well, does your Android phone have a belt clip on it? So there's that to consider. Volume knob and channel selector on the top, and the antenna is a SMA female on the antenna, male on the actual body of the radio itself. So you can operate the Android device without the antenna on. In fact, sometimes when I go to the airport, I want to take the antenna off because I've got my boarding pass on the American Airlines app on my phone. So I scan it there, and people ask about this thing all the time. You know, I'll be out in public somewhere, and I'll be poking through it, and they'll be like, what in the world is that thing? Some people think it's a point-of-sale system, like you walk around Lowe's and Home Depot, and you see the guys walking around with Android devices, and they're in this big cover case thing, and it's where they can scan packages, and they say, oh, the price on this is that, and whatnot, and they can check inventory and such. Some people have thought it that. When I went to the AT&T store to get a SIM card for this thing, that's what they thought it was. They were like, oh yeah, that's a POS, point of sale device. I'm like, no, it's not, but that's okay. Just give me a SIM card. So it's got a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And I bought an extra battery for it thinking that I would, because I've traditionally, my Samsung Galaxy phones, I run the battery out of them about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, so I always have to charge them up. But no, it's 6,000 milliamps. 6,000 milliamp battery. Zoom that in a little bit. I was thinking it was 5,000, but that's wrong. Right there you can see. There it focused right there. 6,000 milliamp hours. And it's got RFinder in the back. And it's got a place in there where you can charge it, although I don't have the desk charger. They make a desk charger for it. I didn't buy that option. It doesn't come with it. It just comes with a micro USB charging cable. So, and then the SIM cards will go behind this door here, and it'll take 3 different SIM cards. So, You can, if you travel overseas a bunch, you can have a SIM card overseas. You can have a SIM card for USA or for your home country or whatever, and then it'll take a micro SD card back here too. I've got a 32 gigabyte micro SD card in mine right now. Anyway, I bought an extra battery thinking that I would need an extra battery just in case I ran it down a bunch. I've never used the extra battery, so I don't think that was a very good investment. It just doesn't need, 6,000 milliamp hours. I use the heck out of the thing. I use it all day long. I use the two-way radio part fairly regularly. If you're going to be doing a bunch of QSOs on the two-way radio and keying up a bunch on the 4 or 5 watt output, then you probably will run the battery down faster. I have not had that issue. I key up, I do QSOs on the radio fairly regularly, usually after work when I get home in the evenings. I'll turn it to a local repeater and I'll key up, or I'll turn it to my DMR repeater who's here at the house, and I'll talk on DMR on it. It'll do analog and DMR UHF, and they do have a VHF version. I didn't buy that one. I don't really care about VHF so much. UHF, there's more UHF repeaters around me than anything. So I've got that version. I've been really happy with it. There's 1 or 2 issues with it that I'm going to go through here in just a little bit. But overall, I really like this device. This is the first generation, first release, first everything. There's been 3 or 4 updates to the actual app itself within the app from the Google Play Store. That's had 3 or 4 revisions since I've purchased this device. And there's been one firmware update to this device since then that RFinder released. They let you download it from their website for free. You put it on your micro SD card here, and then you browse to it on the phone, and you click on it, and it goes through this script that runs the firmware update and reboots the phone. It comes back up, and it's fine. So they're doing a lot of updates and a lot of improvements. A lot of the bugs that have been reported have been fixed. Since a lot of bugs that were reported when the device first was released have already been fixed. There's a couple of quirks with it, but nothing you can't live without. But there's basically only one thing that I would say this is the reason I wouldn't buy this phone. But it has absolutely nothing to do with the two-way radio feature. The RFinder two-way radio, you can go into RFinder, find a local repeater, click on it, hit send to radio, and it sends it to the radio in the device, powers up the radio, and you're on the air without having to program anything. You can do that with Echolink too. You can find an Echolink node in the RFinder device and click on the Echolink node, and it will open your Echolink app, assuming you have it installed, and it will connect you to that Echolink node. So that's kind of neat. According to Bob, they've had that feature for a while, even if you have just a regular Android device. And if you have RFinder installed and you have Echolink installed, you can do that. You can go find Echolink nodes and click on it, and it'll connect right up. I've never done that before, so that was something that was new to me. But I'm going to zoom in on the screen here and let you take a look at this phone, and we're going to go through. We're going to connect to some repeaters and do try to do a QSO. We'll see who's out there. I've got a couple QSOs recorded already. I'm probably going to put in later in the video. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you like this video. Hope you like the device. 73. This is my Android DMR HT from RFinder. So let's confirm distance. Where did that repeater go? Here we go. Load the repeater into the app. There it is. Send to device radio. Parameters set. KC5 HWB. Yeah. Oh, wow, the speaker on this thing's loud. How does this one sound? I don't know where the mic is on this.
Sounds good. Sounds good. It's got great audio to it. It sounds really good.
I guess this mic's probably down here at the bottom. Okay, good. Well, you won't believe what I'm talking on right now.
I don't know, but that transmission had quite a bit of bacon frying on it.
Okay, I probably moved around. I'm not 100% sure where the mic is on the front of this thing.
Well, is this something you can spill the beans on?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely so. Did you see my video, my 2 videos ago about the interview with the guy with the RFinder Android DMR HT? That's a full Android phone and radio.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've seen those. Yep.
Well, that's what I'm talking on. Obviously, this isn't DMR. But I went into the RFinder app, found the W5RV repeater, clicked on Add to Radio. It powered the radio up, loaded all the settings into the HT, and I keyed up, and there you are.
All right, now you're just spoiled.
Point and click programming, baby.
And it can be yours for $19.90. And wait, if you buy now.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So far, I mean, this thing is much bigger than I expected it to be. The pictures of it are a little bit deceiving online. Other than that, so far, I'm pretty impressed with it. So it works well. It's got a little bit newer version of Android than what I thought it was going to have. The storage space on it's a little bit smaller than I would prefer. I would like to have more storage space, but it does take an SD card, so I need to load that in there and do some more playing around with it.
Probably holds up to a 64.
I think that is correct. I can't remember if it's 32 or 64. It only has 16 gigs internal storage, so I thought that was kind of for the price of the phone, I thought it should have more than that, but it does. You know, my current phone, my OnePlus 3 phone, has 64 gigs of internal storage, but it does not take an SD card. So I could be better off with this one. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have probably had 32, if not 64 internal, but
Yeah.
I think they said it was going to have Android 5.1. What did it come
Yeah.
with, 6.0?
Actually, it does have 5.1. I was thinking, now maybe I interviewed on that video, I interviewed the guy who came up with the thing, and I thought he told me it had 4.4. Maybe I'm just completely remembering incorrectly. But when it had 5.1, I was like, oh, that's newer than I was, in the back of my head, that's newer than I was thinking.
It seems like the last time I looked at them, they said they were going to have 5.1 on it. Maybe I'm thinking wrong too, so I don't know. But well, that's good. It's got 5.1 at least, so definitely one of the more modern ones anyway.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So it's yeah, I was happy with that. I was like I said, it's a little bit bigger than I thought, which is okay, not a big deal. I do wish it had more storage. So far, that's really my only disappointment is the storage issue. But the radio itself seems to work great. I'm going to do some more testing, put some DMR stuff into it, and do some QSOs with that later on.
Now that's 70 centimeters only. It's just UHF. You get them what?
Yeah.
VHF or UHF, and I think that's the only 2 options.
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. It's UHF only. They have a VHF model, and I can't remember. Someone had said online, I didn't really look at the VHF model, so I'm not 100% on this, but someone had mentioned online that they didn't think the VHF version had DMR yet, that it was analog only. But I think that, I don't remember if that, I think maybe that was true up front, but then they changed that. By the time they were released, both of them had DMR. But yeah, it's definitely monoband. This is booting the device up, which is done by this button on the side over here. And it comes up and it tells you right there, make sure to ensure waterproof, make sure that the SIM cover is closed and the battery is properly covered. You get the splash screen of the RFinder app, the RFinder logo, I should say. It takes a minute or two to boot up. It's not real fast, but it's not, it's not like you got to go get a cup of coffee and then come back and it might be done either. This is real time. I want to show you guys exactly what it looks like. At the time of this recording, there's a new device that just released called this is an H1B. You can see the model number right there at the top, right here. It's an H1B. The H1A is the VHF model. There's an H1C that's got a different screen that's supposedly better for looking at in sunlight. I have noticed very little issue with seeing the screen in sunlight. I have not noticed hardly any issue with it at all. And the H1C model was more expensive, so I'm glad I didn't spend the extra money for that. That's a pattern that I set earlier that it'll ask you to set upon first boot up of the device. I'll probably have to change my pattern now that I'm going to put this on YouTube. And we're just waiting for the final boot up. There it is. Okay, now this is your standard lock screen on the device. Put my code in again. And this is my home screen that I've built. Some apps that I've got. This is the HD Widgets app. This is some folders here with social media, my Google Voice, my Google Maps, the camera, and this is the bottom row is your standard row that stays static when you go through screens and whatnot. Those of you who are HF buffs, this widget right here is from hrdlog.net, and it tells you propagation. Now, it's a little bit deceiving. It's not actual band conditions. This is the reports you see there are given by people logging into hrdlog.net, which is a service that I use for an online logbook. They log into hrdlog.net and they record a QSO. So basically, this means that in the last hour, there's been more 20-meter QSOs recorded than 40-meter, 15-meter, 17 meters. That one behind it, the little kind of light pink one, the magenta one in the front there is that's 30 meters right there in front. So all these different colors have different represent different bands, and the higher the arrow, the more activity there is. So right now it's telling me 20 meters is up, and what that means is not necessarily that the band conditions are up. Probably, I mean, the band conditions probably are up. It's morning time right now, and that makes sense. But what that's really telling me is that in the last hour, there's been more 20-meter QSOs logged on hrdlog.net than on any other band. So, but that's a good way to look at it because you can see where people are talking. So you can, if you want to get on HF and you don't know what band to get on, you pull this up, you see, well, there's a lot of people talking on 20 meters right now because that's where all the activity is being logged. And 40 meters is not bad right now either, which is the green arrow. So anyway, little side note there. That's a widget called hrdlog.net widget. hrdlog.net band conditions or something like that. So I take this screen here, and this is pretty much my ham radio screen. I've got Echolink, my radar scope. The PTT app is the one that comes with the device, with the Runbow device. If you buy a stock Runbow device that's not an RFinder, the PTT app is their two-way radio communication app. You open it up, and you can go in there and set your frequencies and your repeaters, and you can set simplex channels, and then you can save channels. You can save up to 16 channels. I'll go through that in a minute. The RFinder app is right there, and then APRS Droid there is at the top. So we're going to do an RFinder demonstration right now. So I'm going to click on that one, and it loads the RFinder. Now, what it does is it pulls in just like Repeater Book, just like your Repeater Book app, or if you've used the RFinder app in the past, my GPS is activated on the device, and it knows where I am, and it's pulling in the closest repeaters to me. And you can go in here to settings. There's a little menu at the top left, settings and filter, and you can set all these different bands. Let's zoom in on that just a touch. All the way from 10 meters up to 900 megahertz, it looks like. Zoom in there. Let the camera focus. And it doesn't go up to 1.2 gig, it doesn't look like. The camera's not focusing that close. Let's see, there it goes. There it goes. Okay. So you've got 10 meters, 6 meters, 2 meter, 220, 440, 900. And then you've got the options underneath that of FM, D-Star, DMR, amateur television, weather, and P25. And then 2 new options down there at the bottom for NXDN and Yaesu System Fusion. YSF is Yaesu System Fusion. So you can set what bands you want, and you can look it up. So this way, the app is useful by more than just the radio inside of the device. You can actually search for 2 meter and 220 repeaters, which I often search for 220 repeaters. You can search for D-Star and P25 repeaters, which I do that sometimes as well. And although you can't work any of those repeaters from this device, you can still find them if you've got more than one radio with you. So the device is useful both for the device and outside of the device itself. So I've got it set right now. I'm going to turn off 220. I've got it set for 440, FM, and DMR. I'm going to hit save, and it pulls up the repeaters that are closest to me. First one's in ULIS at 442.9, and the second one down, this is the one I talk on pretty regularly, which is a W5RV repeater in Colleyville, Texas. So I'm going to click on that. It brings up info about that repeater. It tells me how far away it is, tells me the offset, it tells me the PL tone. If it has Echolink or All-Star, it'll be linked down there. This repeater does not have either one of those, I know for a fact, so you don't have anything linked from this app. And there are ways to go in there. If you find something wrong in the app, you can update it yourself, just like you can on some of the other apps out there. So it is got a good user interface where you can go in and make updates and changes for stuff that might be bad information or maybe outdated information. So we're going to click on Send a Device Radio. Little message comes up that says powering up radio. And there it comes back. It says device parameter set, little pop-up. So I can close this window, and you see the red light is now on the power button. So the radio is online. So I'm going to key up real quick. Now the radio's laying on a table, so I'm not even vertically polarized right now as I should be, but I'm still hitting the repeater. KC5 HWB testing 1 2 3. See if anybody comes back to us. Sometimes there's people out this early in the morning. This is the weekend, so we talk on this repeater drive times during the week, but sometimes on the weekend it's quiet. Anyway, so that's it. So it's working as intended. Now what we can do is I can go in here and I can go into, and the first option at the top is Android Radio. And click on Android Radio, and those are the settings that are set for this repeater right now. I'm on high power, FM wideband, my receive and my transmit frequency. I'm on CTCSS of 110.9 on the transmit, but I do not have a receive PL tone set. I could set that there if I wanted to. I can change the squelch, I can change the volume. And then I can send parameters to the device, and it will update any changes I make, or I can just close it if I don't want to make any changes. One of the quirks about this device, which I think can be updated in firmware, is the volume on when you're talking on an analog repeater, the volume is incredibly high. You've got a volume of 0 to 10, and 0 is off, but you turn it to 1, which is usually where I keep mine, and it's incredibly loud. Now, you don't have that problem on DMR. You only have it on analog. So that's a bug that I reported to Bob and the RFinder team, and they said that they would research that and see if they can make an update and some new firmware that's coming up. But as of right now, the volume's really high, so you don't want to you don't want to be talking on it when you're in a private area or something like that, or if you're at work or something like that, because it's going to be really loud. And it does go. The volume does go up if you turn the volume up. It's just that if you turn it all the way down to 1, it's still not very. It's still too loud for a 1 setting, in my opinion. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to come up and I'm going to go BM hotspot. No, I hit the wrong one. I'm going to, let's see. There, BM hotspot mode. This was an update that this device did not have this mode when I first bought the device. So this was an update to the RFinder application since, in the last few weeks. This is Brandmeister hotspot mode. So you can go in here and manually set the settings for your Brandmeister hotspot that you might have to connect to DMR or D-Star or whatever. Of course, it'll only work from this device on DMR. But so I can go, there's my Brandmeister ID, that's my DMR mark ID rather. It's my DMR subscriber ID. And those settings right now are actually for my backyard repeater, my backyard DMR repeater that I've got here, and that's the Texas statewide talk group. Let's change that to local. Time slot 2, color code 9, yeah, that's all correct. I'm going to hit send parameters. It's going to update that. So whatever was in the radio now has been changed to the newest thing I set. And we're going to key up an ID here. KC5 HWB on DFW Metro. We'll see if anyone comes back on that one. The device will work with Brandmeister hotspots, but there's been some tweaking of firmware on both the RFinder app and on the Brandmeister hotspots that has needed to be done in order to get the devices to talk together. I can listen all day long from this device on my hotspot if I have my hotspot on, but when I key up, it does not, nobody can hear me. So it doesn't actually activate the hotspot. Now, there's been some firmware updates come out that I have not done yet. So I'm told that should be working, but I don't have those set at this time. We can go ahead and switch the hotspot and see if there's any activity over there. Let me go here and go here and 3, 4, 4, 5. Color code 1, 3148. Yeah, so if you click on select group there, it also gives you, if you don't know what your talk group ID is, click on select group and it gives you a list of everything that's available to Brandmeister. So United States 314, and then Texas 3148. Boom, just like that. Send parameters. Now this is connecting to the information I just put in is connecting to my Shark RF OpenSpot that I have running in the house right now. So I'm going to see if that keys up. KC5 HWB testing on Brandmeister 3148. See if that works. Because again, I think there's a firmware update that I'm missing. I have not done yet on the device. My OpenSpot, which Bob from RFinder, he's been working with the OpenSpot and with the BlueSpot guys, and they've been very cooperative, according to what Bob is telling me. So the OpenSpot is up to date, and the OpenSpot should be accepting connections from the RFinder device now. But there's a firmware update for this device that came out like 3-4 days ago, and I've downloaded it and I have not loaded it yet. So I think that's the issue because according to everything I've read and all the information I've got from Bob and from a couple of the Brandmeister Facebook groups I'm on, there are people using this setup right now. You just have to have the latest firmware, which I don't have. But for the purposes of this video, I don't need it. I'm just showing you guys how to use the actual device. So anyway, you get the idea about how to set. You can go in here and, okay, say we, let's go back here. Okay, say we go in here and we choose a repeater that the information is wrong on. So say the, kind of refreshed on me and it's not giving me the right information anymore. I'm inside a building right now, so it may not know. There it is. Okay, I just refreshed it and it was fine. Okay, so I'm going to send this back to the radio. This is an analog. This is a local analog repeater. And I'm going to close that. Oh, well, let me show you this real quick. This is a Colleyville DMR repeater right here. There. I'm going to send that. You can sit, you come up and it says DMR Turbo +5 offset. It's a Colleyville repeater. If I send that to the radio, it'll come up and ask me which talk group I want to choose. Now, this information for this repeater is outdated because it's only given me the worldwide talk group, and that is not the only talk group. There's like 20 talk groups available in this repeater. I know the repeater owner personally, and I've talked on this repeater 100 times or more, so I know for a fact that's not the only talk group. So the information in RFinder is outdated. So I'm going to go ahead and click on worldwide. This is a good example of what I was fixing to do on an analog repeater anyway. If you find something in the RFinder app that you know is wrong, then send the information to the device radio. Okay, so we've got powered on there, and we can go and open up Android Radio, and it'll tell me everything that we're set to. There's my power. The mode is DMR. Send and receive frequency, my subscriber ID, the color code, the talk group, and the time slot. Well, I know this is wrong, so I'm going to change the time slot to 2 and the group to 2 also, which is our local metro group. So if you find wrong information, if you look up your repeater in RFinder, you click on it, you send it to the device, and you open it up to look at it, and you know that it's wrong, change it in the device parameters. You can also change it. You can also change it in the app. You can send an update report to the RFinder team and say, hey, this information I found is wrong, and they will update it in the app. There's that right there. We're going to key up on Metro. KC5 HWB testing on DFW Metro. So there wasn't anyone out there a minute ago, so there's probably still no one out there now. And it's questionable whether my transmission got out on Brandmeister 3148, but we didn't hear anybody come back on that one either, and there was nobody talking. I've heard transmissions before. It's just I can receive from a hotspot, I just can't transmit into a hotspot with the current firmware. And again, that's my fault for not updating to the latest firmware. So that's how the app works. I'm going to switch back over here to, let's see. Yeah, see, it keeps refreshing. Or no, there it is. I just had it scrolled down. Never mind. I'm going to put it back on analog. Right there. KC5 HWB. So we're back on our analog repeater. Might hear some activity here in a minute. I've got a recording that I'll show you guys in a minute of a QSO I did with Kent, a friend of mine, Kent, WA5YXS, and I was on this device and he was on this repeater and we were talking back and forth. So I said at the beginning of the video I had one thing that I didn't like about the device, and it had nothing to do with the two-way radio part of it. Okay, well, let me show you this real quick. This is the PTT app. This is the stock app that comes with all Runbow devices, and you can go in here and you can let's turn that off. It's the PTT doesn't know that the RFinder has the control of the radio right now, so I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to go back into the PTT app. So I'm going to turn that on. So this is kind of cool. When I first got this device, someone was like, wow, I wish it worked on Simplex. And it does work on Simplex. You just have to know where to go in and set it. An RFinder, a repeater finder application, is not going to find a simplex frequency because a simplex frequency is not a repeater. RFinder doesn't find simplex frequencies. Repeater book doesn't find simplex frequencies. That's not what the app is designed for. But through the Android radio section of the RFinder app that I just showed you, you can set a simplex frequency. Or you can simply go in here, open up, and what you do is just you can change your channels with the channel selector knob on the top. Let's see. Okay, that. Okay. Now you can hear it. It talks to you. Tells you what channel you're on.
910.
Voice is kind of weird. So you'll see some of these are outlined in blue and some of them are outlined in green. The ones that are outlined in green are DMR. The ones that are outlined in blue are analog. And I've got a few channels saved in here. The channel we were just on, the analog repeater just on, I think it's in either 2 or 3. No, it's not that one. It's got to be 2.
2.
So this is saved in here right now. So if I key up KC5 HWB testing, same thing. So so you can save up to 16 channels in the PTT app. Has nothing to do with the RFinder section of the device, but it is available because that comes with every Runbow. So close that connection there. Okay, back to what I really don't like. So what this device is, an Android 5.1 device, and you see it's the size of a car battery. So it should have tons of internal memory in it, but it does not. And that's the thing I don't like about it. So I only have about a third, maybe a quarter of the apps that I had on my last Android device. I only have about a quarter of the apps installed right now because I keep running out of memory. I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. So we can go to storage, and it shows me that I have total space of internal storage of 3.3 gigabytes. And total space of phone storage is 9 gigabytes. Basically, I don't have a way to tap into that 9 gigabytes. And it is kind of frustrating because it saves that, well, okay, now it updated, 7.79 gigabytes available. And you see right there, at the top line right there, total space is 3.3 gigabytes on internal memory, but I only have 138 megs available because I have it filled up with apps. So I'm going to clear my cache real quick. 200 megabytes worth of cache. Dump that out of there. That should increase that number. Yep, there we go. 357 megs free, which is nothing. Okay, and I'm sitting over here with 7.8 gigs free in phone storage, and I can't get apps to install on phone storage. Now there is a way. I'll show you. There's a small trick to it, but it's not a resolution to the problem. So if I go over here in my Google Play Store, and I want to do an update to an app, I'm not going to even install a new app. I'm going to do an update to an existing app, which I've got several updates waiting. Let's do an update to Google Chrome. Update. Accept. There you go. Not enough space. And it wants me to delete something off of here, which I don't want to delete any of this stuff because, like I said, this is only about 25%, maybe 30% of the apps I had on my last device. So what you can do is you can go in here, you can go back into settings, and you can go into apps, and I can go in here and on the downloaded section, well, on the phone storage, see, this is the phone storage section. So all of these checkboxes were unchecked originally, and because when you download and install an app, it installs it on, there's two different, it's like two partitions of the device. There's internal storage and there's phone storage. Internal storage is the one that keeps getting filled up. That's where all your apps installed to, is internal storage. Phone storage, I believe, is for stuff that you download, movies, pictures, and whatnot. But I've got an SD card in here. I don't need that phone storage, so I want to move the phone storage over the internal storage, but there's not a way to do that. So what I can do is on some of these apps, I can say move to phone storage. And it will free up some space on the internal storage partition of the device. but it's not enough. And it's not every app is available in there. You go into that screen we were just in, and we'll go back to as soon as it's done moving. You go into that screen we were just in, and say I have 20 apps installed, maybe only 12 or 15 of the apps will show up there. So you don't even have options for everything. So once that comes up, you've got move to internal storage. You can move it back if you want to. But then we can go back to the last screen, and then all of these checked boxes, there's Skype, that's another one. Let's move that to phone storage. So if we move enough to phone storage, we might clear up enough room in internal storage to install or update some new apps. But again, it's not near enough space as what I'm used to. My last phone had 64 gigs of internal ROM memory. And I don't remember how it was partitioned out, but I never had any trouble installing any apps I wanted to. And that was on a OS 6 version, Android OS 6, which the new RFinder device is on our OS 6. So I'm hoping it manages the space a little bit better on OS 6, but time will tell on that. So now I've got everything moved over to phone storage I can. Go back into storage, and it's showing me I have 456 megabytes available. So I'm going to try to go do this update, and this update's not nearly that big. So even though you may have, it's telling you have plenty of space available, it still may not update. Okay, it's actually doing the update this time. Yeah, see, this update's only 16 megabytes. I have 450 megs available. I had like 300 megs available before, and it wouldn't do a 16 megabyte update. It likes to save some space so that the device doesn't slow down and become very sluggish when it's running, and I understand that, but my gosh, it's got 7.8 gigabytes of phone storage that is basically useless right now. It's waiting for me to download movies or something, or record movies or take pictures, but I've got an internal SD card that I don't need to do that. I don't need to use the phone storage for that. So I want to use it for application updates, but I can't. It won't let me do that. Okay, it's downloading that one too. Anyway, that's my one gripe about this phone, is that for the size it is and for the late OS, it's running OS 5.1, it ought to have more phone storage. It ought to be a 32 gigabyte internal storage is what it should be. It's only 16, but the partitions are jacked up, so you can't really do anything with about 2/3 of the space that is there. And again, that has absolutely nothing to do with the RFinder device. The RFinder device itself runs great. So the Runbow people who actually built the device, they have not partitioned their internal storage correctly on this device. So that is a demonstration of the RFinder device. There we have it, the long-awaited RFinder Android DMR HT review. You can find this device on AndroidDMR.com along with the two new devices that are out. The M1, which is a bit smaller of a device, but it has the larger screen. This device here, the H1B that we just looked at, has the screen that's about the size of a Samsung Galaxy S5, S6, you know, that series of phones. The new M1 device has the larger screen, similar to a Galaxy Note screen, but the device itself, I think, is a tad smaller. I think they've shrunk the case down a little bit. And then, of course, they have the new P1 that's out, which is a 7-inch tablet with a two-way radio built in and a 3G phone that'll take a SIM card. So it's got everything, and you can make phone calls from it, and it's got everything you need. But it's a tablet. So you're probably going to want to get a Bluetooth headset if you want to carry that around a bunch, I would think. That's, I don't know. That's I sure wouldn't want to carry that for my only phone. It's a neat idea, though. I do like the tablet idea, especially if they're able to get the one of the Brandmeister hotspot applications to work on the device itself. Then the device could be its own hotspot and its own two-way radio. So that would be really cool. I know that's what they're working towards. So, got a lot of really good support from RFinder for this device over the last couple of months since I bought it. They've done a lot of updates, like I mentioned earlier, and they have more updates coming, and they've been really responsive to customers. They created a Facebook group for all. I think there was only about 40 of these devices sold up front, so they invited most of us who purchased a device to this Facebook group where we can, ask questions and give tips about, I figured out how to do this, and I had a question on how to do this, that kind of thing. So the support structure from RFinder has been very good. So I've been impressed with that. And the device overall works wonderfully. It does exactly what RFinder claims that it will do. It does exactly that. The only problem is, in my opinion, it doesn't have enough internal storage, but that's really a feature of the Runbow device on the back end and not the RFinder device, which is what the thing is supposed to do. So, take that as it were. Just a little tidbit of information there. I'm getting tongue-tied because it's early in the morning where I'm at right now. So 73 guys, thank you very much for watching. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my website livefromthehamshack.tv. But I got a new URL this week. Livefromthehamshack.tv it's not going anywhere. It'll be there for a long time. But now you can go to hamradio2.com. So it's easier to type out, easier to say. So I registered that. You can't do a dot in a URL address, so I can't do hamradio2.0. But I did hamradio2.com, and that is what that is. So you can now go to that website also and see all the videos I've done, make comments, ask questions, that kind of thing. So 73, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.